Alright, you degenerates, what's going on? It's your favorite neat, try-hard casual, coming at you with another video for Should You Buy It? Now obviously, as we know, this is the most popular RuneScape series of all time, but for those few people that still live under a rock, in this series I talk about niche gear, random pieces of equipment that doesn't see a lot of use, and I just kind of talk about it. I'll talk about the item, see if it's even worth buying, give my general opinion on it, but at the end you're going to decide on your own if you want to buy it or not. I buy the items and use them, so you don't have to. On today's episode, we have Infernal Tools, which I'm actually not looking forward to because it feels really weird owning so many tools in the bank at once. But I'm doing it for you guys because this was probably the most requested video, at least for the series. So without any more delays or plugging, let's get into it. I mean, just be aware that if you don't watch every single one of my videos, you are not a true fan actually and you're a poser. Alright, so what the hell are Infernal Tools? Why do you want to use them over Dragon or Crystal? In terms of efficiency, they're basically the same as Dragon. There's no increased gather rate when you use them. Each one of these tools also trains a secondary stat. So these secondary stats they level are at a very, very low rate. What happens is whenever you gather something with one of these tools, there's a small chance to actually use it, but then gain that secondary experience. Let's say for example you're using an Infernal Harpoon and just getting some sharks. So every shark you gather has a chance to be consumed, but also give you cooking experience. And this applies to all the tools with basically anything you're going to gather. So like I said, the main draw to these items is that it gives you a little bit of secondary experience. It also very marginally helps your XP rates because you don't have to go to the bank as much, you don't have to drop everything as much, because every now and then, something will be cooked or just consumed out of your inventory. So it's nice to get that extra experience in a different skill whenever you're just doing the main training for the tool. I'll give each of them their own little section, but I just wanted some time to generally talk about them, as an overview. So to make an Infernal tool, you first need the Dragon tool, then you need to put a Smoldering Stone on top of it. It can be a little bit expensive depending on what tool you're using it on. And there's another downside to this actually, because they degrade over time. You can't just buy it once, use it, and then you're good forever. Yep, it's one of those things that don't last forever. But here's something a lot of people don't realize, I think. Whenever you have to recharge one of your Infernal tools, you can use another Smoldering Stone, or you can use another Dragon tool instead. Which is super nice, because why would you want to use another Smoldering Stone when that's the most expensive part? To recharge an Infernal Axe, you just need another Dragon Axe, then it's back up to 100%, which is super cheap. That's super nice. So they're not all created equally. Some of them are going to cost more per charge. I think with that though, we can actually start looking at the items individually. I'll be talking a little bit about crystal tools too, but not like super in depth. I did give them their own whole video though if you wanted to check it out. Let's talk about the axe. So I wanted to get some numbers just so you guys can kind of see the differences between all the tools. No surprise, it was the same XP as a Dragon Axe, except it also gave you the 10k firemaking XP. I mean, that's what these tools are really, they're just a nice little bonus to the main skill you're training. I do want to be super clear with this though. Whenever you gather something with an Infernal tool, and it's consumed for that secondary stat, you get half as much experience as you would normally. So if we manually burned all of the wood that the Infernal Axe burnt up for us, we'd actually have twice as much experience. I was also thinking if you're doing some tick wood cutting that you might want to use an Infernal tool over a different one. What it comes down to is tick manipulation being so click intensive. If every now and then some of the logs in your inventory just burn up instead of having to manually drop them in between tick cutting, I mean that's going to help a ton. It's going to make it way less click intensive, and it's already click intensive, so it's really nice to reduce some of the strain you're going to feel from doing that sort of training. So when it comes to tick manipulation, I'm not the most experienced person because I haven't done a lot of that personally. I did ask around on Reddit though, and we got a pretty A1 response on this. I'll leave the link down below if you wanted to go read it yourself. But for the rest of this video, whenever I actually do reference some 2-ticking, it's going to be based off of this post here. But yeah, that's really it when I could think of woodcutting for where you might want to use this over a different tool. Hold up, I almost forgot. I actually forgot that it's used for a Master Clue step too. It's an item for follow, you have to show them. And that's actually the whole reason I did this episode was because I needed to buy one, so I'm like, you know what? Let's do it, let's just send the episode. Next up, we have the Infernal Harpoon. Again, no surprise, but it was basically the same XP as a Dragon Harpoon when I did it at Sharks for an hour. But it had that little splash of cooking, just like a little bam right in there for you. You also had the opportunity to do some 2-tick fishing on swordfish. Whenever it comes to tick manipulation with a crystal harpoon, it's always going to be substantially better than the dragon or the infernal one. It has to do more with how the crystal tool works itself. Like I said, I'm not going to get too in depth on how crystal stuff works. Just know that the crystal harpoon is way better than the infernal one if you're doing some 2-ticking. There's actually one more spot we have to talk about here though. If you're doing Temperos for maximum points, the infernal harpoon would be the best pick. If you're familiar with Temperos, you know that whenever you fire a cooked fish from the cannon, you get more points than an uncooked one. And specifically, if you're using an infernal harpoon in Temperos, you don't actually consume the fish when you gather them, you just have a chance to straight up cook them, which is nice. It saves you a lot of time going to the range and cooking all your fish. And that's how you get more points, that's why it's the best there. I'm almost positive that's why the cost of the smoldering stone went up so much, it was because of Temperos being released. So this is probably my least favorite looking pickaxe. There are so many to choose from. This one, it doesn't do it for me. Don't like it. So like we saw with the previous tools, it's basically the same amount of XP. I didn't even bother getting some numbers because, why bother? Just imagine there's some smithing XP on there. The only thing I really have heard about the pickaxe is that it's good for 3-tick granite mining. Again, I'm not super familiar with it. I just think that it makes sense that having less stuff to drop in your inventory is going to help a lot with how much you're clicking. I mean, that's a pretty logical conclusion, honestly. I mean, other than that, I can't really think of anywhere it's specifically going to be better over just a dragon pickaxe. I mean, really, this goes for all the items, but if you know of anywhere you could use this stuff that I didn't cover, that I didn't talk about, let us know. I always keep a pinned comment so that we can add all of our information together, just so we have the best possible view on this stuff. It's hard to research these niche items when there's not a lot of stuff on it. Are these tools actually worth buying though? What have we learned here? Personally, I don't think they are. The only one I would maybe consider buying is doing the Temperos one if I wanted the most points possible. If I wanted to grind out that pet, get the drops, just at the fastest rate, I might consider getting the Infernal Harpoon. They give a little bit of extra XP and a secondary skill, or they can be really nice for tick manipulation. But personally, I don't think the cost is worth it, and I just don't like to tick manipulate because it's not fun to me. But if it is fun to you, then definitely consider getting some of these items. Okay, with that, we are done wasting your time. All wrapped up here. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to help out or see more content. I'll be streaming tonight in 2 or 3 hours. Tune in for that. That's it. So I love you guys. Ask questions if you have any, and I'll see you in the next one.